Blacklist Hunter here, and today we're going to talk about a mysterious character in Hunter x Hunter named Benny Delon. Now, I'm sure most of you don't remember this individual at all, but in reality he is very famous in the Hunter x Hunter world for the worst of reasons. Benny Delon was a serial killer who lived at least 100 years ago from the current Hunter x Hunter timeline, and this guy not only was evil, he was a genius of Nen, but without being aware of using Nen at all. So Benny Delon is mentioned by Killua to Leorio and Gon when all three of them are walking at the big market in York New City. So Gon was walking around and he actually noticed with Gyo that there was a faint aura emitting from this old knife in the market which this random old guy was selling. So Killua immediately noticed that it may be a ancient Ben's knife, of course made by the infamous Benny Delon. So Leorio bargains with the old guy selling random old stuff, and they managed to get their hands on the ancient Ben's knife due to Gon noticing that there was something special about it, because of course there was aura in this knife. So the knife's shape is actually pretty cool. The way Togashi designed this knife is really awesome, and Killua states that there is no doubt at all this was a ancient Ben's knife made by Benny Delon himself, the serial killer. So who was Benny Delon and what did he actually do? So Benny Delon was a blacksmith, basically someone who forges objects with iron and heat and steel. So Delon was extremely skilled at his profession as a blacksmith, right? And every single time this messed up guy killed somebody, he would forge a knife as a reminder for his actions, and he would engrave a specific number on it. So it's stated in the manga that Benny actually created 288 knives in total, and the craziest part is he sold these knives at his own shop. So basically Benny Delon was going on a rampage, creating and forging cool knives because of course he was extremely skilled at his own profession. And what's even more crazy, Benny Delon stated while being in prison that the cries of his victims and the expressions they did while being in fear and pain is what inspired him to create these knives. And people came to know about this because Benny Delon was in prison when he actually even wrote a book. I mean, it's kind of surprising how they didn't put Benny Delon to death, basically execute him, because if he made 288 knives while being inspired by his killings, the dude Benny at least had ended 300 innocent people. So Benny Delon was a true monster in the literal sense, a demon in human flesh. What's even more crazy, the dude had fans as well. Some people actually formed a whole cult praising this guy, which is crazy. So later on, Killua states that some extraordinarily people use Nen without being aware of it. So these knives were made by Benny Delon, who was a genius of Nen, but he didn't know he was using aura at all. Kinda like Neon, who could predict the future by writing poems, but she wasn't aware she was using Nen to accomplish this feat. And if you guys forgot, even Chrollo himself had a Ben's era knife which he used in the fight against the Zoldycks. So Chrollo was able to cut Silva's skin by using a Ben's knife, and Silva was actually impressed at the knife because it takes a good knife to cut through his skin. And what's even more impressive, even Silva himself recognized this knife that it was a Ben's era knife, and furthermore it was poisoned. But if even Silva knows this guy Benny Delon, he certainly should be incredibly famous in this verse, because although Silva and Benny operate differently, they are still evil people who take lives. So all in all, Benny definitely left a mark in history for all the wrong reasons. So all the knives that Benny Delon forged had aura in them, so we don't actually know if this aura somehow made the knives more dangerous, that the sharpness is extremely honed to the max due to it having aura, or even worse, the knife having special effects, like for example having poison in them, because like Benny in the state he was during the process of creating these knives, he somehow conjured poison or like made the blades unable to break in any instance and can cut through almost anything because of the immense aura they have. So we don't know. We actually see Benny Delon in the 1999 anime, and the dude, I'm gonna be honest, looks pretty normal with a strange haircut, but still he doesn't give me the same impression to be as dangerous looking as Jones the Dissector. But of course Benny Delon has ended more people than Jones the Dissector, although their methods were different. And of course we saw how Jones died by Killua's hands, while we don't know if Benny Delon died in prison or actually managed to somehow escape. So all in all, Benny Delon was a rare individual, not only because of his evil deeds, but he was a genius of Nen. He was using aura without even noticing it. So Benny Delon had reached a stage where he was extremely good at his profession as a blacksmith. Plus, his personality might have done something to trigger his aura to be awakened. Thus, he managed to create these rare forged knives while being in a strange way emotion-wise. So the knives that Benny Delon forged are extremely worthy money-wise, because there are certain collectors who would pay a fortune to get their hands on these knives, because of course they are special first of all, and they were made by a man who has left his mark in history for all the wrong reasons. And this is all I had to say about Benny Delon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out this other Hunter x Hunter video right here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.